Hello, David Zaritsky from the Bond Experience. Welcome back. This is a very special video. Special in the sense that I've been waiting for years for this video, and I'm not exaggerating. Many years ago, when I was at a toy fair in New York City, I had met up again with Factory Entertainment. They're the people, they're the prop replica company that brought you the Golden Gun, the breather units, so many different things, the Golden Eye that many of us have, etc. And it's really been a robust part of our collectibles. Well, I saw a sneak peek many years ago of a particular mask. It is the skull mask that you see Bond wear in the movie Spectre. And, you know, this was such a special video that I had to dress for the occasion, so to speak. Let me shoot the cuffs. So I am wearing the Tom Ford Spectre suit that Bond is seen wearing, the exact same one, screen accurate, in the beginning, the PTS from Spectre when he's in Mexico. I'm even wearing the Spectre 300-meter watch. I'm trying to create some surround sound here. But the other thing was, I went to Mexico City not too long ago, and I was actually there in the Zocalo, in the square, where they filmed that incredible scene, Bond walking around and even using that cane. Well, Factory Entertainment came out with not one, but two pieces from the film, the skull mask that I had seen all those years back, and the cane. The cane we're going to start with. We're going to do a full unboxing review of both of these today. That's what we're here for, folks. Since we're going to start with a cane, let's get right into action. So here is the box that the cane comes in. Now, a lot of you should be asking, David, what's with the whole unboxing thing? Why do people just even do unboxing? Well, it's nice to imagine when you're going to invest in this, and this piece is $200, that you know exactly how it's going to come, from the external packaging to the internal. And that's why we do a lot of unboxing videos. By the way, I'm using the knife that Bond rescues Madeline from in the movie. So we're going to just open her up. Taking off the safety might help. And it's a great utility knife. Okay, it is very well packed. Let's take it out of the outer boxing. We've got these nice little protectors in here. And again, this is an investment. Everybody wants their props to come in pristine order, so you want to make sure that they do a nice job on packing these things. Okay, getting there. So we've got the sleeve we've got to take off. Okay, we're using movie magic, so we're doing this a little bit quick, but let's turn this puppy around, and you can see right off the bat that 007 on here. On the side, we've got Spectre. Very cool. And on the ends, we've got Spectre as well. All right. So let's open the box. I always do that. What's in the box? So again, nice box, in relatively good shape. All right, I'll put that to the side carefully. And here we are greeted by the inside. Now, whoops, because this is real, folks. So it looks like we've got a small, I wouldn't call it a pamphlet like they have with the other props. Let's see what this is. Okay, so this is, oh, it's literally a postcard. Okay, I thought it was a pamphlet to tell about the cane. This is number 430. 430 of 500 pieces. So it's pretty limited edition. Day of the Dead cane, limited edition replica. Factory Entertainment certifies the authenticity of this licensed prop. So this is literally a postcard. We'll put that down. And oh, right off the bat, okay. We can see that this is cradled in this, it's like foam with this black kind of satin wrap. And we're just gonna take the cane out. Take the cane out of the wrapping. All right, here we go. Now, it's good weight. I mean, which isn't surprising because the head itself is metal. Now, I'm going to bring this up close so you can see this in its glory. Make sure I don't step on anything important. So there is the head. It is a metal head that was taken from molds from the movie. And by the way, it's very heavy. I'd be hard pressed to use this as a cane. Let me just read you a little bit about this, all right? While we take a look at that, and I'll kind of give you a nice, better view of this, if you will. The skull topper is cast in solid metal and is fitted to a solid eucalyptus shaft with chromed fittings. Okay, so here is the shaft. And I have to say, it kind of looks like a wood dowel. I totally believe it's eucalyptus, but there's kind of the end of the cane. It's very nice. We'll take a look at that in a second, a little bit more. The shaft measures 36 inches long and includes a removable rubber safety tip, such as this one. Each replica is supplied in a presentation box and includes a numbered certificate of authenticity, again limited to... Okay, so first of all, as I'm holding this, let's go back to the scene in the movie to which we see this cane. So Bond is obviously looking for the baddie here. He is going through the crowd. He suddenly gets to where they're getting on a helicopter, and he has a little bit of a skirmish, and he grabs the cane and he uses the cane to smash one of the henchmen or guards or bodyguards, whatever you call them. It is a blink or miss it moment. So I wouldn't imagine there'd be a lot to talk about this. From a craftsmanship standpoint, though, I just wanted to point out the scene because, let's face it, this is not the golden gun. This is not the attaché. This is not the golden eye. This is not a lot of the props like the breather where it's immediately identifiable. I believe they wanted a companion piece to go with the mask. And I'd be hard pressed to think that you would get this on your own. I mean, I'm a completist, so it's got cool factor. It is relatively basic. I can't speak to, is this a well-made cane? I don't know how canes are made, but it's basically a wood dowel made out of eucalyptus, like they say. It's kind of cinched at the bottom with the metal, and everything looks good. Everything looks good. Everything is glued right. There's no leaks on the bottom here, like where obviously this was attached. If this was a real cane topper, it would screw off more than likely. I don't believe this does screw off. So I would say this is a good prop. Is it blowing me away just because of what it is? To be totally authentic and real? No. I mean, again, I'm being a completist. It's the right cane height, which is kind of cool. But I would say all in all, and I'll come up one more time to get a nice close-up. All in all, I would say it's a fun piece. If I was a casual prop collector, I would think twice about, am I going to spend $200 for this item? The other thing is, and I could be totally wrong here, but I don't think I am. No, I'm not. I'm craving a cane holder, like something to hold the cane that I can put into my display behind me. Just something where it holds it, or something like a U shape to go against the wall. And literally, this postcard, I mean, yeah, I guess it's a letter of authenticity, but some sort of brochure, even a fun thing. I mean, if I was to get this on its own, I'm wondering where all the pomp and circumstance that I've known Factory Entertainment to do is with this cane. So it doesn't have any kind of display holder. The casting looks relatively neat. I haven't looked at how close it is from an authentic standpoint. I'm sure other people could tell me what does this look like, but if it has been cleaned up, I can't tell. So for the casual observer, I can't tell that. But to me, it's missing a few of those wonderful pieces when I get these in, just to be totally frank. But the real highlight is the skull mask. I mean, that's what I've really been waiting for. So let's dive into that. All right. Oof. Here it is. Pretty big box too, right? So This is the skull mask. We're going to do the unboxing, but before we do that, let's talk about the scene from the movie, because damn, I don't care what you think about Spectre, and many of us were about Spectre. That scene, that PTS scene when Bond is walking along the top building was amazing, but before that, we got to see him in disguise, getting in touch with the whole Day of the Dead atmosphere, wearing that incredible mask. And it was a super badass mask with that wonderful top hat. We all wanted that for Halloween that year. You know you did. So Bond's walking along. It looks to be, I mean, obviously it's movie magic. It looks to be like Mendes was doing a uncut shot as he's walking along there, and all of the celebration around him, and even as he's going up the elevator, and that wonderful hotel, which I had the honor to stay at. It was absolutely amazing. That hotel is beautiful, looks just like in the movie. That mask is prevalent. I mean, that mask is so prevalent that it was actually in some of the poster, in some of the artwork, in some of the thematic moments of the premiere. I mean, it was everywhere. So when I heard that they were doing the mask, I got excited. Let's get right into it, and we're gonna unbox this puppy. All right. So I've taken it out of the box, and it got slightly smaller, but only slightly smaller. Let's take off this plastic here. And again, you are greeted, kind of fun, you're greeted with that 007 right away. And on the front of the box is the Spectre. So you always like that very official presentation that looks so nice, and you know you can't go wrong with classic black. All right, so here I think we've got now finally we've got a brochure. There's a cane. I was kind of missing it on that. So let's get up and close and personal with this. All right. So here is the front, Spectre 007, James Bond Day of the Dead mask, limited edition prop replica. Oh. All right, so we've got some art, and I'm not going to read everything in here. So hold on, we've got like a little warning. Let's take a look at the warning here. All right, so the warning says, please note, steps 2A and 2B are not required as the crossbar has been factory assembled. Okay, so maybe there's some assembly required. Oh, I see. There's literally, hold on a second, check this out. On this side of the page, there are assembly, let me try to get the shine off of there. Sorry, folks. There are assembly instructions. So I'm going to have to read how to put this together. But this is the certificate of authenticity. Nice visual picture of the mask on the back. Looks good. This is not a toy. I don't see where this is numbered. Maybe the certificate is inside. But we're going to take a look at that a little bit better. Let's get right into the prop. All right, slicey, slicey. Okie doke, here we go. So we're going to part the Red Sea. What? Oh, hold on a second. It might be upside down. That wouldn't be good. Is it upside down? Just more foam. Just don't panic. Just more foam. All right, taking out these pieces. Okay, now we are taking the mask out for the first time. Dun, da, da, da. All right, here it is, still in plastic though. So we got to take it out, and it's a little bit, it's shifting a little bit. So there is movement, which is kind of nice. All right, lots of silica packets. It's if you had stock in silica packets, you'd make a lot of money from this thing. All right, so literally, let's take a look right out of here. So here is the piece. It's interesting. It does have kind of that cone shape like you've seen in some of the stills. The jaw itself is kind of moving about, so it does have a little bit of movement. I'm trying to look also for, some people have talked about an underbite like that. This seems to be tiny little bit of an underbite like this. That's an underbite. But I see that it's got, let me get up nice and close so you can see this. You've got the glasses part here that goes over the ears. And obviously you've got this piece that goes behind there. And if you could see on the inside here, it is felted Is that the right thing? Or flocked? Some people call it flocked or felted. The paint job on it, let's take a look at the paint job. Looks pretty good. The paint job does look good. It's got some nice details. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's white and black, but it does look pretty good. I'm going to have to give the stand a little bit of love. I'm going to probably have to cut to put it together, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so this was super easy to put together. There were literally 2 screws that I screwed into the bottom. And check out the bottom here. The bottom's actually pretty cool. It's one of the coolest parts. Spectre 007 has all the rights on there, factory entertainment. It's kind of neat. Rubber feet. And then on the top here, you can see we've got this little shield that I put on there. So Spectre 007, James Bond, Day of the Dead mask, limited edition prop. It's number 386 out of 500. So unlike the cane, right on the display, it has those details. By the way, the display looks like a head from the side. Kind of neat, very artistic. I don't know. I think it was pretty cool. So there are specific instructions on how to put the mask on. So you really do have to read this. To place the mask on the stand, position the chin of the mask as shown. So it looks like the chin rests. I'm going to get this from the side so you can see this. So the chin rests on top like that. Okay. Using the chin as a pivot, rotate the mask backwards so the eyeglass arms hook over the crossbar. Oh, that seems easy. Okay. Step number 5, ensure eyeglass arms are hooked over as shown. Yep. Reverse steps 3 and 4 to remove from stand. Well, that's easy. The elastic safety strap affixes like via Velcro tabs in 3 places as shown. Oh, that's just the Velcro. Okay, well, that's ridiculously easy. Okay, so now I have my display all put together. So let's take a look. I'm going to hold up now. The way, okay, I see. Here we go. So let me show you. Hopefully, in what's happening is because this is sitting on this display, it is creating kind of a Neanderthal-like underbite. He looks a little Cro-Magnon-ish. And by the way, I've got a Charlie Brown head, but the head is pretty big. And I've heard from other people that the head does appear to be big. Maybe this just rolled forward. Maybe I've got to maneuver this a little bit differently so the chin doesn't rest on here. I will say it's a little precarious. It's not that I feel like it's going to fall off just sitting on a shelf, but right now the chin is making kind of a strange underbite. Let me see if I can just put the top and finagle it forward. All right, well, that's better. So let me explain what I just did. Nope, there it slips again. So the underbite thing, unfortunately, right now, at least as I'm holding it, is a difficult problem. No matter what I do with this, it's creating kind of a strange underbite. And I'm wondering almost if I just let it float off of this thing or have it displayed like this. You see, if I can find some way to just make it float, then it looks better. It doesn't create that underbite. And by the way, I haven't even tried this on yet, but before I try this on, I have a little bit of surprise for everybody. Oh, David, a surprise? Like more than this video? Wow, what you got? Well, I have literally the screen accurate, what? The screen accurate hat from the movie. So the company that made this is Jackson. It is the Victorian top hat, and it is the correct size, meaning this is the same size that Craig took. Beautiful hat, by the way. Very nice. You can see that on the inside. Beautiful hat. And so one of the things that we should read in here is the description, because it's a prop, so we want to go for accuracy. So this is about the original prop, and it's directly taken from their brochure. The distinctive skull-shaped mask was designed by Jani Tamim. Yay, we love her. Winner of 2 Costume Designer Guild Awards. She spent a lot of time looking at skulls to find the right one for James Bond. Tamim chose London-based Robert Alsop to craft the prop mask because it was very important to have it fit the actor perfectly. Makes perfect sense. Having worked with Rob on other productions, Janney found him to be the preeminent maker of theatrical masks. Janney supervised the creation of the prop, choosing to include a movable lower mandible to give better movement and expression, which is why we have this right now. Makes sense. The mask had to fit well with eyes, nose, and mouth in the right places and also be the right proportions, Tamine said. Daniel's mask is a masterpiece because you can recognize him with it on. The end result is a singular prop that is pivotal to one of the most visually striking and memorable scenes in recent cinema, the replica itself. Okay? The Factory Entertainment team carefully studied the original prop in the Eon archives and made digital scans to ensure authenticity and accuracy. The original prop was constructed of lightweight, semi-flexible material for comfort and the practical demands of a film set. All right, so let's talk about that. This thing is hard as a rock. It's probably like a hard resin, I would assume. It almost feels like a ceramic. It's that thick. It's very thick, so it's not bendable in any way. Although visually identical to the original prop, the replica has been cast in heavyweight epoxy, well, there you go, David, to create a more durable display item. The replica is therefore significantly heavier than the original prop. The replica incorporates the same articulated jaw mechanism as the original prop. Well, that's good. Each replica is fitted with screen-accurate eyeglass arms. However, an additional elastic safety strap was employed on set for some shots, probably when he was walking. The replica also includes the removable strap for authenticity. Please note, however, that the replica is intended for display only and is not to be worn. Children, I said don't wear this. It's a mask. And it's got eyeglasses, arms on it. And it's got a strap for safety. But don't wear it. That's a little crazy talk. Don't wear it. On set, the prop had a partial lining and pieces of double-sided theatrical costume tape were applied to the inside. Because this is intended as a display item for practical reasons, a double-sided tape has not been replicated. Instead, each replica has a full permanent lining. The Factory Entertainment team is most grateful to Meg Simmons, we love her, Michael Tavares, and the team at Eon for their assistance with the project. And that's pretty much the brochure. So, what we're going to do is we're going to put the hat on the piece. And it is not really fitting. Okay. All right. So it's definitely bigger than the original. And the other thing is it doesn't bend. I mean, this epoxy is unforgiving, so it's not going to bend, but the hat itself is not fitting at all. And quite frankly, I think the mask itself is so big that it's not going to accommodate this hat. So I'm going to have to find some way to I don't know, incorporate that or display it. But it is a big piece. I mean, it feels big. It looks big. I apologize. I know they said don't wear it, but you know I've got to put this thing on. So let me just put it on. So this you could not wear for more than a minute. It is heavy. It is really heavy. Let's get up and close and personal. Now, you knew I was going to do this, so, okay, so obviously this is, I mean, I look a little kind of like a Funko Pop version of this, wearing, oh, this is definitely going to be the thumbnail picture. Me going like this, yeah, this is, hold on, let me get the, you know what, I'll get it later. So you can see right now, for example, I'll get up close and personal, the eye area is huge compared to the one in the movie. Now you can see the full size of this mask and how large it is. So I'm wondering kind of how big this mask is compared to the screen used one, because obviously it's enlarged. Definitely the underbite is happening. I'm going to try to fix that on my face. There we go. That worked. Oh yeah, now I can see the inside of the mask. I'll tell you the movement, I almost wish they didn't make the jaw move. That might have been a little bit better, but anyway, so I can move that back into place. That's good. You can see this from the side. I feel like doing a sizing video. I'm a size 40, and no, this is one size will fit anyone, I promise, just anyone at all. My gosh. Okay, that was, as they said, not to be worn, and look at me go, and I try to wear it. So I'm going to put this back on the display. Now, one of the things is, obviously, just looking at this, changes were made. Changes were made to this, and I know that they go for authenticity, but it seems bigger. It's a different material. I'm not entirely sure why they didn't go for just what they made it out of. Just create a replica. This is one of the most current props. See, that's the thing. The GoldenEye is from 1995, but then you have all these older props before that, so you didn't have a ton of things. This is from 2015. So I'm not entirely sure just why they didn't go for the full authentic wearable. Like, everybody, of course, is going to put this on. You can say don't wear this, but they're going to do that. And we have so many great pictures of this that why not just go for the right size? But here's the thing. Why don't we go right to the horse's mouth and just ask Factory Entertainment? All right, I am here joined with someone that I actually have known for many years, Barry Eldridge, creative director for Factory Entertainment. Barry, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, David. Nice to speak to you as always.
It's good to speak to you, and you've got a familiar friend next to you. So you're right there, I see.
This is what I look like at weekends and evenings.
Well, I thought maybe you went on a diet or something like that, and you're feeling a bit hollow, for sure.
Yeah, I wish.
Well, Barry, just so you know, the reason I am all dressed in my fancy duds here is because I'm wearing the PTS Tom Ford suit from Spectre, because we just did an unboxing video with the cane and the skull. So it's I'm still in my review outfit just for you.
Well, and I thought you dressed like that all the time.
Yeah, I sleep like this. This is my pajamas, absolutely. So Barry, walk us through a little bit, because we really want to get down and dirty in a little bit and talk about the items, but I want to take you back just a few years to a younger version of you and I, when I saw you at a New York City toy show, and you had a prototype of this. This is years ago. So talk to us about how many years in the making, certainly the skull is, at least.
From start to finish, at least 2 years, nearly 3. It was a challenge. I mean, what was technically a fairly simple prop into being a more complicated replica, and that is unfortunately usually the problem, because typically props are made in the individual pieces, usually 3 or 4 for a movie, sometimes as many as half a dozen, rarely more than that. So what you can replicate in 5-6 pieces as opposed to 500 or 1,000 pieces is different, and the processes are not always the same. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you make them exactly the way they were made for the production, and that's great. The other issue we had with this particular item is, and this is one of the, I guess, the blessings and the curses of working in the industry behind the curtain. The prep for the movie was really disappointing.
Wow.
Because it looked visually fantastic, but when you held it in your hand, and it was like Christmas morning here, just over 2 years ago, nearly 3 years ago, we received a big wooden crate. You don't get wooden crates very often anymore. It had Eon Productions stamped on the side. It turned up and we were like, what is it? And we opened it up, and it was the original hero prop with a bunch of other things that they kindly lent us, because in the past we've gone to visit the archive in London, but this time around they shipped it to us to have, and we babysat it for about 3 months. I got to have it for a while. I was hoping that they'd forget to ask me to send it back. Sadly, that didn't happen. So we had it, and you get it out of the box, and then you think, oh my God, this is... And because, and I want to preface this, the movies are made to a very high standard, but the item only needed to survive for one shot. And it was designed specifically to fit on Daniel's head and to grip it very, very tightly. Very much like a sort of a traditional 1970s, 1980s Halloween mask, a very thin, flexible material. And so when you picked it up, the whole thing kind of racked and moved. And when you put it on your head, and I'll admit, I'm going to get pretty around and put a silenced pistol to my head. But of course, you try and slip it, and then you realize, oh, damn, I'm not Daniel Craig. It didn't fit me. without really jamming it on. And then, of course, you're like, if I jam this thing on, it's either going to break or I'm never going to get it off. And then I'm going to I'll be the kid with his head stuck through the railing. So then we looked at it and we said, well, this is one of these props that we have to make look good to own and to possess. And I can tell you now, nobody would want to possess the prop as it sits in reality, because it's just very underwhelming, very thin, has no weight to it. Looks fantastic, and if you're going to stick it in a corner and never touch it, then fine. But most of our pieces are made for display. We refer to them as museum quality. And the other issue with it was that I'm not sure that the material was pretty stable. It was a plastic, and plastics over time will tend to degrade, and it was already starting to shed inside the mask. Some white powdering. So we had to make a replica that looked visually identical, but could also be a part of somebody's collection forever and ever. And the other challenge is with this item is people perceive it as a costume accessory. They perceive it as a clothing item. We don't have the license to make clothing items. We have the license to make prop replicas. So there was a lot of semantic back and forth about how could we make it, how could we propose it. It was very early on made clear to us that we had to make it clear that this was not being made to be worn. And so, we know some people are unhappy because they can't wear it, and they're unhappy with that. But we did make that very clear from the start. We said, this is designed to look like and be a replica of the hero prop from the film as seen from the outside. Inside, the mask is totally different. We changed it significantly. We lined it out fully to make it completely sealed. On the original mask, it's completely open plastic, and then there's just pieces of tape. And on the original mask, the jawline was just attached with pieces of elastic. So what was starting to happen on the original on the prop is that it's drooping down like this, and the mouth hangs open, like sort of half open. So we added 2 little pins to try and make it a bit more permanent, so that when you display it, you get a good-looking thing forever. And that has the costume people. We understand they're upset with it, but we don't make costume accessories. We wish we did, but we don't, and we have no plan to, because there are some, particularly with this one, when you wear it, there are some legal issues that if you fall over wearing it, guess who's liable?
Did originally, when you received it in and started, I'm sure you were all at a table and started brainstorming, what do we do with this thing now? Was there a portion of you, maybe the majority, that said, we've got to make this wearable, but then only to find out either Eon or just the law said, sorry, there's a separation of church and state?
Yeah, I mean, it was right from the word go that we couldn't make it wearable, because there's too much of an obligation for issues with just liability. So that was known to us from the very, very beginning. The issue actually was the majority of people didn't want to replicate. Most of the team here just felt that it was underwhelming as an item and wasn't going to make a great thing. But I kind of love with it. I think it's iconic. I think it has a certain look to it. And maybe I'm just macabre, but I thought it made a display piece to have around the house. Who doesn't want a friend? For me, it was one of the things that was really interesting working on it. Janie, the costume designer for the movie, wanted something that when you looked at it, it indicated Daniel, which is kind of weird because it's Daniel's skull, which nobody's ever seen and nobody will ever see. But she's right. It's weird. When you look at it, it is Daniel. It's really odd to explain, but it's just one of those sort of psychological things that in your head you go, oh yeah, that's Daniel. It isn't anybody else. It's very obviously him. So for me, it was important. And I have to say, the later Bond films recently, there have been a limited number of things we can replicate. We love to do more things, but their choices are, problematically infinite for us. There's a limit to what we can do. The window is sort of ever shrinking because we can't replicate anything from the real world. We can't replicate anything that has a brand name or a trademark on it, and we can't replicate any real world weapons. So we have a shrinking window of opportunity there.
Yeah, and I think, I'll speak for an N of one, but I think from a fan demand, that image, the skull, was on posters, it was on postcards, it was on merchandise, it was in movie theaters, and say what you will about Spectre, because it gets not the best reviews sometimes, that opening scene in Mexico is universally praised, excuse the pun. So I think if you're going to capture anything, that was the thing to go for.
For me, that opening was classic Bond opening. That harkened back to the Bond of my childhood. It really did it for me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to appear to be slipping, which makes it look like I'm falling down, and I'm not right. There we go. Better. So yeah, that's the thing. So I'm happy with him. He's as Daniel, as we call him, and let's get a better angle because it looks bizarre there. And it's another weird one. This product photographs really badly. Like at certain angles, it looks really strange. But when you get it at the right angle, that's the kind of that's the poster right there. It's dead on.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what you thought about it. Now,
yeah,
I have one in possession.
I do, and I also want to talk about the cane as well. So the skull, there are so many things that I like about it, and I talk about, obviously, the paint job. First of all, the display. I'll start with the display. So cool. The outline of the head, very uniquely done. But one of the things that I've always said about factory entertainment is your displays are sometimes, half of the explosion of, things being impressed. So I think the display looked really well. It was also very easy to put together. I actually talk about this brochure. And I was intimidated at first because I saw the instructions on how to put together. And I'm like, they're going to tell me how to put together my prop, but luckily it was just to put 2 screws in really easily.
We changed the stand several times because it was actually quite hard to get a stand that would hold an object that was never designed to go on a stand without too many, I didn't want clamps or hooks or anything around the mask itself. And then we actually revised the design, and I do have a tip that we'll talk about because there's one thing we have noticed happening. But the thing nobody's noticed yet is there was a little subtle nod in the silhouette shape. We're seeing if anyone can still get. It's not actually a head; it's the back of a 007 logo. Back 7.
Okay.
hidden. But one thing we are noticing on the back in the original design, these bars were fixed in by hand, and then the back and said we've got a better way to do it. So very helpfully, they notched bars to match up with the eyeglass arms. Problem is, screen accurately, these are very, very thin eyeglass arms, and in transit, they are moving. So we're finding that some people are complaining that the hooks don't line up with the grooves. It's a very simple fix on this one, so you're going to have the world exclusive on this. They are literally the eyeglass arms used on the film. They're just basic aviator eyeglass arms, so they're incredibly thin, and they're supporting a weight of about 3 pounds of mask. You just pinch the side of the mask right here and bend them back into shape. Literally bend them. Don't be afraid to manipulate metal with bend, and then you can get them to line up with your grooves. They don't have to line up with the grooves. It isn't important. They're not doing anything mechanical. They're just there for cosmetics. But we know it annoys some people, and I've already had one guy who said, I can't get them to line up. So we went and looked at it, and then what's happening is the mask ships this position, and the styrofoam is compressing the arms of the glasses over time, and they're bending inwards. It can be moved. But so, stands, because you buy this item and you invest in this item. This is something that we're fans too, and we want people to buy things that they keep forever. You have that initial Christmas morning moment when you get it out the box and you're all excited, and we all slip it on and we try it. We wander around the house and we find out whether it's even remotely any bigger or smaller than Daniel Craig's. And then what do you do with it? You kind of, you maybe dust it off once a year for Halloween, or you do, but you can't enjoy it. Whereas if it's on display every single day, you can sit there and you can smile at it or talk to it or whatever you want to do to it and put it on display, because it's like, I've always said this, it's like great art. Great art is great, but if you keep it in an archive and you never show it to anybody, hang it on your damn wall, put it out, display it, show it off. Show your friends, be proud of what you've got. And that's sometimes things just, the big disappointment for me, I guess, is some of the jewelry items we do are great, but no matter what you do, you can't make small jewelry items look impressive. They're fundamentally very small, whereas a nice big hulking thing like this can put right in the middle of a collection and put a few things around it, and you've got a ready-made collection. We have other items like the cane, which, try as you might, we tried to come up with a way to make that displayable and sort of hang it on the wall.
Yeah, so I want to get to the cane in a second, but I'll finish off on the skull because, obviously you'll be seeing the review. Of course, we had a fun moment where, I was reading, please do not wear this. It's not wearable. And I'm like, I looked at the camera and I'm like, are you guys serious? Of course, we're all going to put this on. And I put it on. So 2 things that I said that just to be totally transparent with you. Number one, it seems very prone, especially when it's on the display, to get kind of this underbite. Yes. This kind of like Neanderthal underbite. And I would imagine it's got to be the weight and everything laying against it, the way it's hitting on the chin. And then the second thing that I talk about, obviously, is the size of it. And you must have had to maybe manipulate the size because of what it's made of or the molds, but maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
The size, so there's more than one prop. That is the case with most productions. So this is a replica of the hero prop, that's what we're calling it because it has the eyeglass arms on it. That's the one that we were lent and the one that we examined. I have seen 2 other props and I don't know what they are, but I know neither of them have the eyeglass arms on the side. So I can only assume they were either second camera props or they were stunt prop. I don't know. And unfortunately, often in production, these things get modified. They get chopped apart. The one that everybody sees mostly is the one that's on display at the Bond in Motion exhibit. Well, you'll notice that there's a very major difference to that one. It is made to fit on a mannequin, not a person. So you can't really compare this to that because they're not a replica of the same prop. We picked the best prop that we thought would have the best display value and would look good impressively. Externally, the size is the same. Internally, it's about 4 times thicker. So you've lost a lot of internal size and shape there. The underbite thing is interesting. As I said, on the original prop, the mask hangs down, just suspended. Mm-hmm. So gravity helps it, and so you can adjust it. My concern with that over time, regardless of what material you use, is it's exactly like the original prop. There's just 2 strips of elastic. The elastic will eventually stretch, and you'll get that. So we put 2 pins in, which will allow you to manipulate it. And which unfortunately does mean that it kind of gets a more of an underbite. They should match up like this, but you can move it to do this and that. You just have to adjust it how you like. But it is there so that you can manipulate it and do it. On the original prop, Daniel's chin fit underneath the bottom hook here, exactly like this, so that when it would articulate the jaw. We asked them why you did this. Because it's an unusual design and it was not how most masks of skeletons are normally done. And we said, was there, originally a requirement for him to deliver a line in it or something? And no one can actually tell us why that decision was made. They just decided that a separate mandible was necessary because he never speaks when he wears the mask and he doesn't actually move it at all.
Right.
So it's one of the unsung movie, here's one for the viewers, why was it done? We don't know. Yeah. And neither do the behind the scenes team. So yeah, you do have to manipulate it and adjust it a little bit because it is at the end of the day just hanging on 2 pieces of elastic. But that is screen accurate. And weight wise, yeah, it's about 10 times heavier than the original mask. The original mask was feather light. You could literally pick it up on 2 fingers.
Oh my gosh. Nothing. But obviously precarious because of that.
Honestly, I can sit here and tell you I have no way. Because people have said to me, well, will you do a light version? I don't know how to deliver 500 of those to people across the world without half of them getting smashed to bits. Wow. It's that fragile. We have to design our packaging with ridiculous requirements to be thrown out of FedEx trucks. And it came to me in a wooden crate that was enormous, the size of a small child's coffin. Short of shipping it out like that, which would be ridiculously impractical and would cost more than for the mask. I have no plans to do a costume one. We'll leave that to the very talented artists out there. There are artisans out there doing their own work, and more power to them. Good luck to do it.
And let's hit on the cane too, because the cane, and again, you'll see the review. The cane I really liked. Good heavy weight. The eucalyptus, cane part, well crafted. In fact, I even you'll appreciate this. on camera, I got up and close because I wanted to see glue lines and I wanted to see this. I didn't see a thing. So, I mean,
solid lump of cast metal. And that one is, I would say, what's the right word to use? The original prop for that is foam. It's a piece of foam because it was used as a stunt, and there was probably some connection between Daniel and the poor stuntman receiving the background with it. So the material is totally different. The size is the same. The weight's the same. We copied it directly off of it. So when it's cast in metal, it does have a slightly different look to it because the edges are harder and sharper and cleaner.
Right.
But it's significantly heavier. That thing, you could really save somebody's head in with that one.
Oh, easily. And by the way, you hit upon it earlier in this conversation. One of the things I said I was kind of craving, because when I get a factory entertainment piece in, half of it, I just said it before, half of it is these amazing, wildly imaginative displays that you almost think Q, puts it up in his warehouse after the things aren't destroyed. And I was craving some sort of like 2 hooks on a plastic or something. And I'm like,
yeah, no stand on that one, unfortunately. We couldn't come up with a way that would hold it safely, and I didn't want it falling off a wall and falling on somebody. So that one's lean it in the corner or use that one. I mean, that one has a rubber safety cap on it, which was not on the original prop. And the shaft on that one, the original prop was great. That was one of the ones where we got it out. It was a piece of painted dowel rod, like you would buy from, and it had literally been brush painted. You could still see. And then they took a metal push pin, a brush pin, and shoved it, tap on it. But that was it, because you never saw it. You see the skull head, and you see the guy holding it, and then Daniel grabs it. That's it. There was no requirement for it to do anything else. The cane we want to try and do is the cane that Daniel's actually using when he's wearing the mask as he walks down the street. Unfortunately, you never see it in any extreme close-up, and we have seen the prop, and it's an actual piece. Blue Thing viewers out there can find it. You won't find one because they were released by a fairly well-known fashion designer, and they were very, very limited. And from what I can see, literally sold out the minute they were launched. I think they only made a few pieces.
Oh my gosh.
And it's the real deal, and they weren't cheap either. So you can set your sleuths to find that one. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Okay,
well, if we know it's out there, chances are we'll find it. You know how they are.
Up there. It's a black onyx skull.
Wow. So Barry, let me...
Very tiny. It's a small one. Really, really tiny cane head.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, that's a good hint, actually. So let's put these aside for a moment, because I think one of the excitements around this was, oh my gosh, we finally got something from Daniel Craig's era. So the big question is, are we going to get anything from No Time to Die?
Maybe. Yeah, we are working on a couple of items. One more familiar than another. No Time to Die, from what we've seen, is shaping up to be an interesting, and we want to do something from the bookend of Daniel's career. So yes, you will hopefully see something, subject to license or approval, as always. But yes, we are currently working on a couple of items that we hope to be for the movie. We're actually working to try and get one more pre-order before the movie release. With it. That's where we are. Yes, watch this back. So
you cut out for a little bit, but you're trying to get something out right around the movie. Is that
have the pre-orders up and available for the movie? So
good.
Later, but we want to at least have the pre-orders available for the movie. Yeah.
That could be very exciting. Yeah, I'm not even going to sit here and guess because you can't say anything clearly. What about outside of No Time to Die? Obviously, we've got a Golden Gun on the horizon.
Yes, we do. Golden Gun is very much under production, and we are hoping to surprise people with an early release date on that one. With a huge, possibly, because what happens, the pieces are made, and then our inspector goes in and personally looks at all the pieces, and then anything he fails has to be remade, and then we have Chinese New Year that's about to disrupt us for the whole of February and some of March. But yeah, the Golden Gun is actually shaping up really nicely. It's in full production. looks like the edition size on those is going to be very limited, less than 1,000 pieces worldwide. So that one will be fun. We have a fun little piece from a certain fairly well-known DB5 that we haven't announced yet, but again, that's subject to license or approval. And that one, hopefully that one will be available to talk about very, very soon.
A prototype was shown of that, wasn't it, from your company?
The ejector seat button. One of the few things that we looked and said we want to do something. We're looking for smaller items that can maybe be used for the Bond in Motion exhibit, smaller things that people can buy and take away with them, and kind of fun, that one. Although very few cars, most people have said, I can't wait to put this in my car, and it's like sadly very few cars have knobs on their gear shifters nowadays. If you own a classic car, you'll be able to fit it. And we have copied exactly the right imperial thread, fine thread of the original DB5. We actually bought a vintage DB5 gear shift knob and cut it up, and we're doing it the same way that the original prop was made. Sadly, it won't actually eject anybody. You'll just put the button down, but you might be able to frighten the hell out of your passengers if you hit the lid.
Nice. That's great. Anything, I know in the past, and I'm peppering you with questions, but we talked about, and you talked about the complication of this, possibly doing a attaché case.
Yeah, attaché case still remains on my list of things I want to do at some point before I shuffle off my mortal coil and leave this earth. But I've, as yet, not been able to find a vendor who wants to make it. They just are not interested. It's a combination of too many skill sets. You can find somebody who's possibly interested in making the case, but they don't want to make the accessories, and there is the option of then having some of it made in one place and then shipping the pieces together, but it's going to result in an item that's just so expensive. So it remains on the list, and every year we look at it, and every year we go around to all of our vendors and say, hey, you're still interested? And we're moving into some pretty elaborate non-Bond props for other licenses that are helping us stretch the envelope a little bit, because with this business, it does tend to be the case that if you make a partnership with a vendor and they make you one thing, then they're more inclined to make similar things. And once they know they can do it, because at the end of the day, 90% of the time, this is making something that's never been made before. It's not like making a die-cast car or an action figure where the skill sets are the same. Each replica we make has its own set of unique challenges. And people sometimes say, why does it take you a year? Well, because often we actually sit with the thing for a year, bending it and fiddling it and twiddling it to find out how why happens. Because there is no way to find out. You're literally making it up as you go along, and certain things are easier than others. Canes are canes are cane. But the more elaborate and the more complex the prop, and the more variation we have to make from the way the prop was manufactured. And that's, I guess, where we get into the realms of what people perceive accuracy. If the prop is foam, would you really want a replica in foam? We years and years ago at Master Replicas, we had this with the Darth Vader helmet, the original Darth Vader, molded with a thumbprint in the back of the helmet, because when they pulled it off, the guy put his thumb in it. Nobody noticed. Nobody ever saw it. You never see it on film. There is a version that comes with the thumbprint because it's super accurate, but most people prefer the version that's been cleaned up. And this is one of those kind of Hollywood magic moments where you sit there and you go, does this make a good replica? Can we make it to the standard and quality that will be enjoyed by people? And then is that physically and technically possible in hundreds of pieces on a consistent level?
Right.
These are all handmade. Every single one is handmade, and they're usually touched by at least half a dozen different people. The challenge is making sure that they all look exactly the same. The way we do that is we send a rather unfortunate guy in to manually look at every single one of them, and he sits there, yes, no, yes, no, yes. And then the no's get thrown away, and then they get remade, and you go round and round and round in circles on a QC or quality assurance merry-go-round, which can be interesting.
I can imagine. Well, listen, thank you so much. It added a lot to the video to have you on here as usual. And when you can spill the beans about No Time to Die, let us know. We'll
contact. You know it. As soon as I get clarification, I'll let you know. It should be good. One of them is every item we just discussed.
Wait, I swear you broke up. What was it? It's a what item?
One of them is similar to the item we've just been discussing. There's your clue.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. All right, I won't poke your brain any more than that. Barry, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
So I want to thank Barry and Factory Entertainment for that discussion and talking about the props and talking about the pieces and all the different content. So it is appreciated. I know it's a tough discussion because, you know, this has got to be a real video, and we are a picky bunch, but we're picky for a reason. I mean, we are passionate about these pieces. We feel a certain amount of ownership of this. We don't own the license, of course we don't, but we feel a certain ownership of James Bond and the different pieces. Then, obviously, if you get used to a certain level of quality, you get spoiled. So if something comes in a little bit under that and you're investing, you know, significant dollars to it, well, you're going to have certain questions. So I do hope that this video was very helpful. I know that a lot of people out there have either purchased this or are considering this, and I'm looking forward to more things from Factory Entertainment. So this is a journey. This is one stop in the journey. There's been a lot of stops before this. There'll be many more after this, and hopefully we'll be there with these stops. So this has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. We will see you all very soon. Take care. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.